Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Candlelight Vigil for victims of domestic violence. We want to honor the women who have lost their lives to domestic violence, and we want to honor the families that are left here on this earth. So, happy Thursday. Let me know in the comments. I don't think you guys can hear me. So I'm gonna have. Oh, that's probably why you couldn't hear me, because I was muted. Okay. Hey, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thank you for coming to the Candlelight Vigil. I wanted to take this time to honor the women and the individuals, the children, the family members that have lost their lives to domestic violence. And I also want to honor those women who have they fought as hard as they could. And so in doing that today, I just wanted to take this time to just allow us to just sit in this moment. There are people that I'm sure it's a coworker or a friend or someone that you have been in close contact with, and they have lost someone who was perhaps killed by their boyfriend. Or I know, just along my journey, meeting a woman last year right before the pandemic really kicked off, and she had lost her son, and I ate lunch with her, and she began to tell me her story at a conference, and she was just telling me that she enjoyed what I was talking about and how much she could relate. And then she also shared that she had lost her son, and he was only 21 years old, and he had been stabbed to death by his girlfriend. And so, domestic violence doesn't just affect women, and it doesn't just, it affects children, it affects men, and so it affects everybody. I mean, when a life is lost, everyone is affected. When your coworker loses their parent, you as the coworker, you empathize with them, you sympathize with them. It's just something about this great coworker who was always happy, and then one day tragedy struck their family, and you felt their pain. And so with the statistics, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 7 men will experience physical abuse at the hands of a partner in a relationship, an intimate relationship. Those statistics are real. And during this time, I remember even myself, I remember being 8 months pregnant. I remember it was just around October. It was cold, kind of cold in Chicago. It was that windy fall experience where it's kind of cold, but it rains a little bit, and the leaves are falling, but the wind is blowing, and so it makes it really, really chilly. And I remember being picked up. I remember us driving really far at the time, driving to Aurora from Chicago. At that time, it seemed like it was really, really far. And I remember driving out, and I remember going to the funeral. And I remember sitting at the funeral, 8 months pregnant. I remember it was absolutely the saddest funeral that I've ever been to in my entire life. And I remember sitting there, 8 months pregnant, thinking about my life, but I was thinking about the girl who was laying in the casket, who didn't look like herself, and they had to do all that they could do to make her look as whole as possible. And I remember the sadness that took over that entire room. And in fact, me and her was just a year apart. We were just a year apart. And I remember maybe she was 23 and maybe I was 24. And I just remember the pain in her mother's eyes. And I remember the pain even in the pastor's eyes. And I just remember the pain that struck the entire family. And it was like we were just, I don't know if you've ever just been at a funeral and been at church and been on a pew and we're all just sitting there. But somehow we were so close and we were just snugged and just hugged up together. And I remember just being hugged, and I have these wonderful twins. I'm like always surrounded by twins in my life, and I have these wonderful women in my life, and one twin was on one side and I believe another twin was on another side, and we were so close and we were just hugged on each other, and we were and just the grief that shocked and hit and just took over that room. It was so, the grief and the shock that took over that room, it was almost in a sense unexplainable, because I find myself trying to explain to you what it felt like. But if you've ever lost someone very close to you unexpectedly, suddenly, and it just took you by surprise, and just the pain that you felt and your family felt, that is just how we felt. And it was just like we felt it times 10. And I remember thinking about my own life, and I'm like, man, and it was just something that said to me, that is going to be you. And I remember just thinking, like, wow, that's going to be me. I'm living in an abusive relationship. I am being physically hit daily. And by this point, I am 8 months pregnant. I'm being hit daily. And if I don't get hit in a day, I feel great. I'm being verbally attacked daily, assaulted at any given moment. 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, right? And I remember that voice saying, that is going to be you. And it was almost as if in that moment, in my grief and my sorrow, and not just sad because the woman who was laying in that casket had been stabbed 55 times by her intimate partner. Me and her were just a year apart. A young woman. She had just given birth, and so her baby was only 3 weeks old. And I just remember thinking, that is going to be me. And I'm going to have a baby, but the baby won't know me because I won't be on this earth. And it was through her life and me sitting in that funeral, me making a declaration, declaring for myself, making the decision for myself to say, hey, you know what? That's it. No more. I'm not going to do this anymore. I am not going to be victim anymore. I'm not going to keep going through this. I'm going to get out of this. I have to do something. I have to change. I have to leave. And that was the decision that I made. And it would take me maybe 8 more months after I made that decision to actually leave that relationship. But it for us, for women and those of you that are listening, it is about you making that decision. And I guarantee when you begin to make a decision, just like you make a decision to get your degree, and you make a decision that when a man, he sees his wife and he proposes to her, and he decides that he wants to marry her, and he proposes to her, he made the decision, right? And you made a decision that after high school, I'm going to college. And some of those after college say, I'm going to stay in college, and I'm going all the way for my PhD. You make a decision. Those of you that wake up in the morning and you decide whether I'm going to have eggs or I'm going to have yogurt, you make a decision. Then after that decision is made, you make a plan and you go after it until you have attained that goal, until you have accomplished the thing on that you decided. And it was through her life. It was through her life that I had faith. It was her life gave me faith. Her life gave me faith. And it allowed me to see within myself that my life is worth more. That I don't know what's on the other side of this terrible relationship I'm in, but it has to be better. And I had to have hope that it had to be better. And I had to have the faith, because I could not see what life looked like outside of that physically abusive relationship. And it was physical, and it was emotional, and it was spiritual, and it was financial. And I was caught in the cycle, and I had to learn helplessness behavior. It was in that moment of all of that, and I'm lost, and I'm down, and I'm sad, and I already cry every day. And then I go to this woman's funeral, a very close, not so close that we talk every day, but close enough that we are the same age. We were going through the same thing, that we hang around the same people, and yet neither one of us said anything about what we were going through. Neither one of us decided to use our voice. Our voice has power. Our voice is a weapon. Our voice breaks chains and yokes and shackles. Our voice casts votes. Our voice makes policies. It makes laws. And I want to encourage everyone that is listening today to have that faith, to make sure that your voice is being heard, to speak up and to speak out, to tell somebody. There is too much technology nowadays. You can text, you can send an email, you can DM. It's so much help, and there's so many ways to reach out. And if we can just get past the place and have a little bit of hope, and have a mustard seed of faith, and believe that there is something outside of what you're living, whether it's in an abusive relationship or whether it's just a situation that you're in, and you want to see change, and you're tired, and you're sick of yourself. I was in that relationship, and I was sick of seeing myself cry. I was sick of dabbing my lip because it was always busted. I was sick of buying red lipstick and covering my lips to hide the bruises, to hide the busted lip. I was sick and tired of me accepting what I was living. And I knew that it was up to me. That baby inside of me was depending on me to bust a move, right? My daughter was looking at me to make change, and she couldn't do it for me. And it was going to be on me, and I had to make a decision. And I sat there in that funeral, and I made a decision. And I decided to choose me. And I said, when I get this baby out of me, right? When I finally have this baby, I have got to put a plan in place so that I can get out of this situation, so that I can get out of this relationship. And so today I just want to honor those that have lost their loved ones, those children that have lost their mothers. And I want to encourage you to have the faith to keep going. And I pray that you have peace even in the midst of your storm, even in the midst of your life, and it changed drastically without your mother. I want to pray that you have peace. And I even pray that God gives you rest, because you deserve it. Because it is hard to be a motherless child. It is hard to be a child without their father. It's hard to grow up knowing that one of your parents killed the other one. And so I want to pray and hope that the children that have been affected by domestic violence homicides, and domestic violence homicides, suicides, I want to pray that they have peace. And I want to cancel out any rejection, because rejection is one of those things that come up when you lose a parent, and abandonment. And I want to cancel out abandonment over the children. And I hope that those of you that have lost loved ones, whether it's through domestic violence or whether it's through life, because life is going to happen to us no matter what. Life is born every day and life dies every day. But I pray that when we're so affected by those deaths, that we can get the help that we need, that we can get the counseling that we need. Did you know that there's a sort of thing called grief counseling? It's specific It is necessary. There are trained professionals that deal strictly with grief, and they help individuals cope through grief, because it's a process and it's something that you're going to have to go through over and over and over again. And so I just wanted to come on here to encourage everyone to have faith that whatever you are wanting to do, whether it's coming out of depression, coming out of anxiety, knowing that it can happen if you decide for yourself today that I am no longer going to be depressed. I'm no longer going to be filled with anxiety. I'm going to take the necessary steps to get the help that I need. And then as I'm getting the help, I'm going to be open to it. And I'm going to have faith and believe that the things that I am doing and the plan and the path that I'm on, that change is going to come. Because if you don't have the faith, then it's not going to come. And that was just something that I did. I decided to do it. Have the faith to do it. Have the faith to hope. Have the faith to believe that there is life after abuse. That your life is worth more. And so for every family, I hope that you can find peace. For mothers and fathers that have lost their daughters, I pray that God gives you peace. And for children that have lost their parents, I pray that God gives you peace and that he gives you rest. And I even pray that the mark that that person, that your parent or that your child left on your life, I pray that their imprint is just upon your heart. And I pray that they taught you something while they were here on this earth. And so as we come out of this and we want to look to the positive and we want to not just honor them and move from a sad place, but be able to move to a place where we have peace and we have joy. And I hope that you can believe for yourself that you deserve it. That you deserve it. And I even hope that you can turn that pain that you have felt when you lost that loved one into a purpose. And I just want to thank everybody who hopped on today. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Send it to someone that you know really needs to hear that their life is worth more, that they can come out of this, but that the real truth, that if you continue to stay in relationships and you know that it is physically violent and detrimental to your health and the health of your family, that homicide, suicide, death can occur and it will occur. But you can make the decision and you can make the choice to leave today, to come out of that relationship, to decide for today, I'm going to plan to come out of that relationship. I believe that my life is worth more. Send it to that person. Send it to that woman. Send it to that man. Because you know and you believe and you care for them. You know that their life is worth more. Send it to your coworker who comes in crying every single day. Send it to someone that you know needs encouragement and they need to just hear faith, because hey, faith comes by hearing, and it's hearing. And if they hear what I'm saying, then they can begin to just get a little bit of faith, because all we need is a mustard seed of faith. Believe in what you can't see and hope and know that it can happen if you decide, if you make the choice, if you believe that it can happen, because I believe that it can happen. And at this time, for every person that is suffering now and don't know how to break free, I pray that your mind becomes free. I pray that you get clarity. I pray right now that you are able to hear. I pray that there is a support group and a support system and people that you can lean and depend on, that if you reach out, that those people will begin to come to you and they will surround you and they will pick you up and they will lift you up and they will help carry you out of that situation. And I even hope for every family member that has lost a loved one, and be reminded that we honor that person today. We honor that person. We know that you love them, and we want to share in just honoring them today, because their life life was beautiful. Their life, it was great. And we know that it ended tragically, but it was something about their hearts, something about that smile, something about when that look in the eyes when they looked at you and they smiled, that it just melted you down like butter. It was something about that person, your loved one. And it makes you smile even when you think of them today. And I pray that your tears are wiped away. And I pray that that sadness is turned into joy, and that you have peace, and that you find rest. And that is how we honor women and men and children who have lost their lives to domestic violence. We honor them by remembering them. We honor them by telling their stories. We honor them by living a life that we believe they would want us to live. And so I hope that you will share this with someone that needs hope, that needs to hear faith. Today we honor the families. We honor the loved ones. And I want to thank everybody for jumping on today, this Thursday, September 30th, 2021, as MFF Project kicks off Domestic Violence Month. October is Domestic Violence Awareness, and every Thursday I'm going to come on here and teach as much as I can, cram it all in the time that we have set, and be able to, so I can be able to just educate the community. Who is the community? We are the community. You, me, your family, my family, our neighbors, our co-workers. We are the community. And if we don't know, who's going to tell us? We can't expect CNN and NBC to do it all. We can't Google everything. And TikTok, hey, maybe they'll show us. I doubt it. But listen, it's Thursday. I thank you for your time. I thank you for being here with me, honoring victims, honoring, and I don't even want to use the word victims. I'm just going to say honoring women and men and children who have lost their lives. We want to lift them up, and we want to remember them in this hour on today, Thursday, September 30th. And that's all I want to give today. And I hope to see you all next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, as we dive deeper to de-awareness. Every week, it's going to be something new, and every week, I'm going to teach. So I thank you guys again, and I will see you all later. But before I go, I want to share a poem with you. A poem that I wrote entitled Scars. You see her often. You pass her daily. But her scars are away from your eyes. She fought fiercely to break away. Her mind needed to be free. Her body needed to heal. Many wear their scars on the inside, hidden behind guilt and shame. She wears abuse on her back, marred by the evil remarks of her lover, stained from his constant attacks. He builds her up only to bash her self-esteem down, to keep her there in his pit that surrounds her every emotion, feeling, touch, and being. He operates violently to the highest extreme, saying no is not an option, only yes, yes, I'll do whatever you say. She cries rivers on the inside as she gives in desperately. He replenishes his strength off of her tears, the brutal hate in his eyes as he spies her demise. One push, two slaps, and down she goes underneath his feet, trampling her character. Underneath his feet, trampling her courage. Smiling in anger, no loved ones around to witness the danger. No longer a stranger to domestic abuse. Why, it becomes her familiar reality, often ending in fatality, abandoning her children because she became a casualty. He declares victory because she is lost. She is broken, she is used. She is bruised. Scars, you can't always see them, but they remain stamped permanently to her soul. So the next time you look at her, do not be afraid. No, 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 please don't turn away, because scars are the remnant after the pain. But she lives. She survives. She broke free. She is me. Chantel Branch. See you next time.